A timeless question that circulates all Epic 7 platforms on an infinite loop. A question known to everyone. Is this good? Whether it's showing their ML5 pulls from Covenants, acquiring the best possible selective summon results, or their 200k CP hero, you're bound to run into this question. But for today, we're going to be looking to answer the age-old question of is this good on the topic of equipment pieces, hopefully to help new players better manage their resources. So how does one get good gear? Blood, sweat, tears, and having the celestial bodies align. On a serious note, you start to acquire contenders for endgame gear once you have access to hunts 11 through 13 and various currency exchanges, for example Arena, Adventure AP shops, and Labyrinth to name a few. But what makes the gear you find good, so to speak? Equipment you find will come in 5 different grades: normal, good, rare, heroic, and epic. Ideally, you'd only want to invest in equipment pieces, heroic or epic. This is because after +3 enhancement, one of the existing stats on your piece will see an improvement. A total of 5 improvements can be made since an equipment piece caps out at +15. If the piece of equipment is of lower rarity, it'll instead add a new line of stat. This sounds great and all, but all equipment pieces can only have a maximum of 4 stats. Try to visualize it like this. So say you have a good rarity piece, you have 2 apples. If you have a epic rarity piece, you have 4 apples. Your parents give you an allowance of 5. You know what, never mind. You're all adults here, you don't need this elementary example. Because epic pieces come with 4 stat lines, and heroic pieces come with 3 stat lines, more improvements can go directly into improving one of the stats, as opposed to being wasted revealing a new stat. So now that we know what grades of equipment we should invest in, the next thing to look for is finding a piece with the correct stats. A general rule of thumb is to consider your progression in the game. If you're fairly new, it's good to invest in upgrading pieces with 2 out of 4 favorable stat lines. For example, let's say you find a weapon with both crit chance and crit damage. This would be a solid investment until you progress further in the game. For mid to end game players, most would recommend you only invest in upgrading pieces with at least 3 of the 4 desired stat lines. Say for example you find a heroic weapon with crit chance, crit damage, and attack percentage. This would be a noteworthy piece. Then you have those who believe in cryptids and believers that any gear that doesn't have 4 out of 4 favorable stats is unusable, in which case you'd only want to invest in upgrading weapons with crit damage, speed, crit chance, and attack percentage. Keep in mind, this quick example is only for offensive gears on the weapon slot. Defensive stats are also highly desirable depending on the hero you're trying to gear, and stats do differentiate depending on which piece. There's a lot of small details to consider. For example, weapons cannot have a defense percentage as a stat, armors cannot have an attack percentage as a stat, and the main stat of all right side pieces of equipment cannot appear as a substat. As you get more experience, these smaller details will become more apparent to you. To summarize, try to identify if a piece of equipment you found has specialization. Does it have a lot of defensive stat lines? HP, defense, effect resistance, speed? A lot of offensive stat lines? Attack, crit damage, crit chance, speed? If so, you may want to invest upgrading that piece of equipment. Now that we can determine what's good, we want to be resourceful with our material used to upgrade pieces of equipment. You can see that the percentages of each stat tend to differ. Here you see a piece with 5% crit, and this other one with 4% crit. This is because stats appear in ranges that are different depending on the stat. For example, speed can appear anywhere in most cases, emphasis on most, between 2 to 4, attack can be anywhere between 4 to 8, and crit chance between 3 to 5%. Due to this variable, it's best to upgrade your piece of equipment step by step. Watch to see if you're getting a decent upgrade before you toss more resources into the said piece. You wouldn't want to fully max out a piece of equipment that saw minimal improvements, would you? Congratulations! You've traveled through hell and back and managed to return with a piece of equipment that perhaps makes you say, "Mom, I did it." You'll be met with a smile and a response that goes along the lines of, "Good job, dear, now go do it again." Undoubtedly, gearing is perhaps one of the most frustrating grinds, but it's undeniably the most rewarding feeling when you finally chance upon a piece and eventually fully build a hero with stats unique to them. For you new folks, we hope this video was helpful in giving a quick rundown on determining what pieces of equipment you may want to upgrade. For our veterans tuning in, which hero on your roster did you decide to spoil with some of your best gear? Let us know in the comments, and also let us know if you'd like to see more of these guides in the future. Alright, I'm gonna go completely out of script here, but I guarantee you, our top comment is gonna be something along the lines of, how do you get good gear? Short answer, you don't. Guarantee you. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in, peace, and I'll see you all in the next video.